All right, Shalom Yasharallah, Shalom Israel. Before we go any further within this lesson, I want to open up by giving all praises, honor, and glory with infinite blessings unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Racha HaKodash. And I also want to give double honors unto our beloved other bishops and to the other apostles of Great Millstone that teach well and that real well, with much blessings and salutations, always going on to the hopeful elect, to the Akim, Wafi, Akwaf, that are tuning in. All right, shalom unto you, and Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, Barakatham unto you and to your households, all right, within these evil days. And, hey, man, so basically what we seeing, bro, is it's just a revisit of things of us going back and confirming, all right, the things what the prophets I said was true. All right, because you motherfuckers is about to go sit, y'all motherfuckers gonna be sent out to war, bro. All right, this draft, all right, is coming. All right, the scriptures even speak about, all right, men being sent out to war, young men. So
All men between the ages of 18 and 25 will be automatically registered for the military draft. They'll be added into the Selective Service System. That's the independent government agency that keeps a list of all eligible Americans. For decades, the majority of men would register themselves or face a felony. Congress tucked the rule change into a bipartisan defense bill that President Trump signed into law late last year. It comes as enrollment has slipped in recent years, even as worries about conflicts with nations like China and Russia have grown. There has not been a military draft since the Vietnam War.
Support journalism you trust.
all right, so that's that. Let's go get this in this article real quick. So it says automatic military draft registration takes effect in December. Here's how it would work. Young eligible men will be automatically registered for the military draft pool starting in December as part of a measure tucked into the annual defense policy bill Congress signed into law late last year. It says men ages 18 to 26 must already register for selective services in case a draft is required. The last time a draft was in effect was February 1973 during the Vietnam War. It says number of men selected for military services in the last 4 drafts. About 10.1 million men were drafted in World War II, more than triple that of World War I. All right. And how much more now? All right, this third woe that the scripture speaks about, in which it's already here. But for edification's sake, we're going to bring it out. Let's see it right. So this is the book of Revelation, chapter 11 and verse 14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. All right, and that second woe is speaking about World War II, in which right here you got a chart or diagram or whatever, U.S. Selective Service System. All right, in which it shows. All right, it shows the beginning of. All right, how many men were drafted into, these world wars. All right, so right here it shows World War I. All right, which also is a thing of biblical prophecy. And it says about 2.8 million men were drafted within that war. All right, and this tripled, in size when it came to World War II. About 10.1 million. All right. So how much more now? In this third woe, man, the last woe, to end them all. All right, and which is already here. It's not a thing of it coming. It's already here. All right. Why do you think they're speaking about draft? People getting drafted. Men having to automatically register for the draft. Yeah, because niggas is gonna go fight in the wars. All right, the ultimate war to end all wars, man. All right, niggas gonna go over there, get drafted, get blasted, and be meat to the slaughter, meat to the grinder. Get they shit done in, man. So let's grab this. Second Ezra chapter 16 and verse 33. It says, the virgins shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. All right, and the virgins is speaking about these women. All right, the women over here in the States, the U.S., all right, they're going to mourn and be in a very depressed, sorrowful state because they're going to be going through it over here. Meanwhile, all right, while Jacob's trouble intensifies in the States, all right, they're not going to have any help. They're not going to have any aid or a head to protect them within these times, because as the scripture says, it says, the virgins shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. The bridegrooms would be the men, the husbands, boyfriends, protector of the household. It says the woman shall mourn, having no husbands. It says their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers. All right, because we're constantly seeing the evils increased upon the earth, which the Yahweh Shai is sending. So as these evils are increasing, it's not as if these evils are not going to turn up on these fucking women, man, just because they're women, or not turn up on these children because they're children. Nah, man. All right, these prophecies ain't stopping for nobody. All right, and the scriptures tell us how the Lord ain't gonna spare in the book of Ezekiel. And really, it's gonna be a more worse time for you women than there is men. Than these men. All right. Verse 34 is the point, though. It says, in the wars shall their bridegrooms be destroyed. Yeah, in these wars. All right. And what war is it talking about? World War III. All right, that third woe that came quickly because it's already here. All right, it's just gonna intensify. It has yet to, get to that point to where it's affecting you Babylonians. All right, and they're speaking about, once again, draft, people being automatically registered for a draft in December. Bro, that shit like a couple months away. It ain't nothing for them to push that date down, okay, to like September, October. All right, due to the casualties and the bodies that's being racked up over there in the so-called Middle East. Bro, America's getting slaughtered by the Iranians. Those ground troops, man, they getting their ass did in, man. So guess what? They're going to need more meat for the slaughter. So you young men over here, you men just in general, you bachelors, you men with families, around that 18 to 35 age, and might even be higher due to, those forces, the U.S. forces over there getting their shit pushed back, did in. Just know it's going to be a huge draft, bro, and the scripture speaks about it, man. All right. Why are the women, all right, in the young virgins, the virgins going into the young women, why are they going to mourn for having no helpers, man? Because all the men are going to be sent off to war, which in this war you're not coming back. You're gonna die. You're not making it back. Okay, and then two, if they are over here in the states, all right, as Jacob's trouble is intensifying, they're gonna die off either by the sword, the famine, the teeth of wild beast, the pestilences, the plagues in which Yahweh Shema Shai is going to send upon this earth, leaving, these women helpless, okay, and not knowing what to do. Verse 34 says, in the war shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine. All right, they're going to perish of famine, the lack of food. All right, in these wars, all right, going out to these other countries, they're going to die of famine. Over here in the States, they're going to die of famine because there ain't going to be no food on the shelves. All right. All praise to Yahweh Bashimar Shai. All right. So let's get this. Second Ezra chapter 14 and verse 16 says, for yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter. All right. So you think World War II, World War I was a massacre. All right, because even going into that scripture concerning these woes means destruction, it means death. All right, and these wars are plagues, man. All right, because what happens within war? Destruction, death, famine, okay, pestilences, all right, sicknesses, all right, from dead bodies, diseases, all type of shit. All right, and how much more now that we're living in an age where knowledge has increased. All right, they're having all type of different type of warfare, chemical warfare, all right, nuclear warfare, all right, all type of things, man. So it's gonna get very bad, man. You've seen the number of men that were drafted, 10.1 million, all right, or the men that were within war. So how much more in a time that's gotten worse, all right? How much more support does the U.S. or the Army need? How much more strength or soldiers would be needed for this time, man? So second Ezra 14 and verse 16 says, for yet greater evils, all right, evils meaning bad times, bad things, man, than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter. And you hear stories of war from the vets, okay, men that served within these previous wars, that's been overseas and fought for this fucking Edomite system, you know what I'm saying, that served in the army or whatever. And they'll tell you, man, that shit like none other, bro. They even come back fucked up, man. PTSD, can't sleep, fighting demons, all type of things, man. But how much more now? All right, verse 17. So those previous wars ain't got nothing on this war that's already started, and it's not gonna end until Yahweh Shai makes his return. So verse 17 says, for look how much the world shall be weaker through age. Yeah. So as the years have went down and progressed from the times of these wars taking place, 1970, okay, all the way to 1973, all right, to now 2020. Bro, come on, bro. It's been a decline, a decrease of manliness, all right? Men wanting to fight, to fight for this country, to go to war, all right? Men even being men, because back then it was different, all right? And now everything's fucked up even more than what it was, all right? So now, if the world has gone weaker through age, then how much more the people? How much more the men? Men don't want to fight war no more. Why would they want to go fight in war? Fight for a woman that doesn't love them, a family that doesn't support them, a country that doesn't give a fuck about them, and this is the mindset of really the average everyday male, even for these magos, these Edomites, these go hard Babylonian U.S. supporters, they're coming to the conclusion, man, this place is fucked. They're serving pedophiles, they're serving Satanists. All right, this system is through. All right, so it says, so much the more shall evils increase upon them that dwell therein. Yeah, the Lord finna turn up on these niggas, bro, on everybody. for the turn up, bro. Yahweh Shema Shai is about to turn the fuck up, man. All right, and you niggas are about to be sent off to war and get your shit clipped. All right, by Ishmael, by Moab. All right, by Magog. All right, these Russians. All right, the Chinese. All right, by these damn Persians. Iranians. All right, and the rest of these other nations that's going to join within this war, as the book of Joel tells us about. Joel, chapter 3. All right. So, hey, man, all praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. All right. Because our elders and our apostles told us, they warned us about these things, man, and even, let us know these things, all right, before it happens. So, Lord willing, let's do what's edifying.